All right, here we go. The first episode, the pilot episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Kyle. I'm here with my other host, Brandon.
Hello.
What's going on? So we are very excited to start this up in this first episode, guys. Give you a brief introduction of ourselves and what this, the Sports Network is going to entitle. There'll be a lot of different types of sports shows for you guys on here. And then basically we're going to give you a preview of what's to come. And at the end of the podcast will be basically a preview of the hockey show.
Hockey's going to be a big component of this network, probably the biggest component. There will be other sports, but hockey's our number one passion, so there will be a lot of hockey content on this.
So we do have a social media page, so that's Twitter at ArmchairsGMPod. I couldn't fit the whole thing because Twitter doesn't let you fit that much stuff. Like our name's pretty long. I got to the word pod, and I'm like, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Armchair GM Pod. The link will be down in the YouTube description below. Thank you for listening to us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube or Spreaker, eventually I will try to get this out to other platforms. I will try to do Spotify, iTunes for sure, and then we'll go from there. I know Stitcher Radio is a big component of Spreaker, and I love Spreaker. Spreaker is a great podcast app. If you guys out there just want to start your own podcast, I highly suggest checking out Spreaker, basically the word speaker with an R after the P. And check out their stuff. They have a page, a website with all the plans you can choose from. It's really, really cool app. It lets you have like a studio as well. You download the actual software, and it gives you like a DJ studio, which is really cool, which is what we're recording on right now. So if you're ever in the process of starting your own podcast, I highly suggest checking out Spreaker. And you guys can check us out on there, Spreaker.com/ArmchairsGM or Armchairs GM Sports Network. So yeah, guys, we'll give you a brief introduction about ourselves. So again, I'm the one host, Kyle. I've been a hockey fan my entire life, Toronto Maple Leaf fan. My second, Brandon will get into why he just gave us that reaction. But yes, I've been. My second passion is wrestling as well as Brandon. So we have our second passions are wrestling. But for this sports network, we're going to just stick to hockey and other sports we like. I've been a Toronto Maple Leaf fan all my life. I actually play hockey in a men's league. I'm basically like the beer league hero, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the future PHL Hall of Famer. It's the men's league around here. But other than that, I work at the casino, you know, pretty neat job at the casino there.
You get some NHL players coming in there.
Yeah, that I don't meet because I'm in the office. I don't want to work on the gaming floor anyway. Screw that. Anyways, yeah, so that's a little bit about myself. Brandon will introduce himself and what he's going to be bringing to the show.
Yeah, I mean, just like Kyle, hockey and wrestling, love both of them. We're not rookies when it comes to podcasting. We've done a wrestling podcast for about 5 years now, and
we've been around the block.
Yeah, we've been around the block for a while, but we're not here to cross promote. But I'm a diehard hockey fan. Been like that since I was probably 8 years old. All into collecting memorabilia, collecting hockey cards. I'm a big collector of a lot of shit. So stuff. Sorry, it's a PG network. But
I don't know. We'll see how this goes. If people like explicit stuff, maybe we'll stay. Maybe we'll be like spitting chiclets. I don't know. We'll try
to keep it on the low though. But anyway, so yeah, and I'm a big Buffalo Sabres fan. Unfortunately,
that's why you didn't like.
Been through a lot of heartbreak in my life living in this area with living in the middle of Leafs Nation. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do. And I'm also a San Jose Sharks fan since the Joe Thornton days, probably about 2005, 2006. I started following them and then really started to like them as my second team around 2010, 2011.
You're actually rocking the Pavelski jersey.
I'm rocking the
today.
Pavelski jersey tonight for the big game, even though he's not playing. But yeah, that's a little bit about my background in hockey. Other sports I enjoy a lot are NFL football, MLB baseball. I play a lot of golf, so that's probably the sport that I enjoy playing the most is golf. So maybe we'll do a PGA show at some point. I don't know. We'll see, but probably just for the big events. But other sports I'm into, a little bit of college sports. We don't get a lot of coverage for that up here like our American friends do down there. And as far as other sports on this network, I don't know. I'm not gonna go too far out, but we'll try to cover our bases with the ones that I know a lot about. And I'm really excited because I already know some people that will come on and do some guest shows with me who have extensive knowledge in other sports other than hockey, which we will mostly be covering hockey. But I have a lot of connections with people who are very well knowledgeable in other sports, so I'm really looking forward to that and collabing with a lot of people moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while now. We actually had an inside track to a radio station, but they kind of we got the old ghost from them. So we'll give them credit because they're the ones that got us on this track to start this up. But unfortunately, couldn't go through with them. They were basically a online radio, and I don't know, just weirdly it just didn't work out. Didn't fall through.
They didn't follow through on our PTOs.
Yeah. I guess not. They kind of say, "Oh yeah, you'll make the team," and we just don't hear anything from them.
No, but what the funny thing is that a couple years ago we actually did a hockey episode on our wrestling podcast. We did a trade deadline special.
Oh man, I remember
and
that. All day.
Yeah, we did an all-day trade deadline special and got a lot of traction with that.
Yeah.
So, be looking to people wanted us to do that after, or wanted us to continue that afterwards, and we couldn't at the time with the wrestling stuff going on. So,
yeah, we had a lot of traction for that episode. Like there was a lot of people who were like we got reached out to us and saying that they actually they loved that episode. I remember that was an awesome day. I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, so that was kind of like when we said we got to do this eventually one day, and now it's finally coming to fruition. But back then we knew, we said someday we got to do some kind of hockey podcast or something like that because we really enjoyed doing that, and it just came natural to us for sure.
So I'm excited. So if you guys want to know a little bit of a preview of what this network is going to entail, hockey, like Brandon said, is going to be our main component here, main thing we focus on. There'll be two different types of hockey shows on this network. One's going to feature basically like the NHL. Maybe we'll touch base on some KHL news here and there, but it'll be mostly about the KHL and hockey in general.
NHL.
And then, the next one is actually, we don't have a name for the hockey show yet, but the other one we actually have a name for it. Brandon brought it out to me there, and I actually loved it from the moment I seen it. So it'll be called Niagara Hockey Lowdown.
Yep.
So basically, it's going to entail everything around this region hockey-wise, whether it be the OHL. We'll slightly touch base on the Leafs and Sabres, mostly on that show, being that they are in this region. The Ice Dogs, and then we'll try to even go as far as the Junior B Canucks and maybe Junior A. So we'll try our best to keep up with that, but that's going to be another hockey show on the network that's going to be region-based, basically a region-based hockey podcast. So.
Yeah, I mean, we know where we are, where we live, what people are talking about in our region or want to hear about, so that we have to give a local show.
Especially if we talk about region-based, like the Ice Dogs, there's a lot of news going on with them recently, especially them. Obviously, the whole stack year this year, going all in and then losing in the second round, the playoffs, and then the whole scandal with the OHL and the Ice Dogs with the whole. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but the whole scandal of them paying a player to stay, that was a little bit sketchy. Maybe we'll bring that up once we do get that show rolling. But that'll be the other hockey show, Niagara Hockey Lowdown. And then we'll come up with a name for the other NHL show.
Just the general show, rumors, stuff going on. Yeah. And then we'll just have specials for, draft preview, free agency, trade deadline, playoffs. Obviously, we're going to go a little bit over a little bit of that today, but we'll just have specials for that.
So later on this podcast, guys, stay tuned. You'll get the hockey preview. Basically, that hockey NHL show will be like, we'll give you a preview. Maybe we'll give you a preview of both. Maybe we'll talk briefly with the region, but other than that, you'll get a little bit of a preview of what the hockey podcast will be about later on. Brandon will for sure be doing an NFL part to the network with his knowledge of the NFL. I may or may not join in sometimes. I'm not really that much I don't have that much knowledge of the NFL football. I watch it, but Brandon obviously knows a lot more than I do. I may come on here and there, but he'll definitely have some guests sometimes too with his NFL part of the network.
And MLB.
MLB as well.
And NBA, which I'm going to need some help with co-hosts that are much more knowledgeable than I am with the NBA and college sports, but I've already got some people in mind for that. So,
nice. So guys, a lot of stuff coming to this network, so if you guys have any ideas out there, let us know. You can go on our Twitter account, which will be located down below, Armchair GM Pod. You can tweet at us, and if you don't have Twitter, Spreaker actually allows us to connect an email. I have our email connected to Spreaker, so just go over to the Spreaker page and shoot us an email if you guys have any ideas, or if you'd like to be a guest on one of the shows. We're open to any guests out there that want to come on and help us do the network, and just be featured on the show, and let us know about yourselves and your knowledge of the sport, and do a show together. So we're really open to that.
Yeah, if you're fans of other teams, like some exotic teams out there that we don't have extensive knowledge of,
yes.
But I'm open to that, things like that, and also you can comment on the Facebook page when we get that up and running as well.
So I'm working on the Facebook page. I don't have a link for it yet. I'm kind of it's weird with Facebook because I've never actually made a page before. Like, it's not, especially with the new changes to Facebook. Facebook updates almost like every other week.
The phone update was odd.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure it out. I think I've got it so far. The only thing is I'm trying to get, it's weird because it doesn't allow you to click a link for it anywhere. So I'm still trying to figure it out. Unless it's probably clear as day. You people out there probably know of the pages, know where it is. I just don't. I'm slowly figuring it out. But we'll have a Facebook page. We'll post episodes on there as well. Maybe we'll do some Facebook Live stuff with that later in the future as well. So we'll have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and then you can listen to us on the go. I'm going to get us, hopefully by the next episode, get us everywhere with iTunes, Spotify, all stuff like that.
And we'll try to do some live shows. Not sure if we'll be able to do it every week, but definitely for big events like the draft or free agency, trade deadline. Those will be like daily, all day specials most likely.
Yeah, well, yeah, because a lot of people like that trade deadline special, so I'm intrigued to do that. But it's basically about ourselves, guys, and we'll try to bring some comedy aspect to it. Keep it less dry for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We like to jib jab too, so you'll probably hear me and Brandon going at each other a lot.
During the season. Yeah.
Other than that, it's basically what the network's going to be about, guys. So again, if you're having interest of going on a podcast and want to talk with me and Brandon about some sports, anything, could be hockey, could be just football, you let us know, and then hopefully get the Facebook page up. That way you can message us on Facebook. That's a main hub, I guess, that a lot of people have. So Facebook looks like a good area to reach us at once I get that going. But for now, keep an eye on our Twitter page. Even if you don't have Twitter, you can still keep an eye on it at Armchairs GM Pod on Twitter. I couldn't get. That's the Twitter handle gets me because it's got to be short, and I can't fit our whole name in there. Yeah. So Armchair GM Pod works. It's good.
That's good enough.
Other than that, guys, I guess we'll just transition here. I thought the intro would be a little bit longer than that. That's fine. It's a pilot episode, so we're allowed to be short or too long. But so far it's short. That's good. I'll transition with basically what the hockey shows are going to be about. So for today, we're going to give a recap of the playoffs so far, and then we'll give you guys some hockey news and rumors that we found along the way. After that, and then we'll end off the show. So the playoffs so far, damn. It's tough because I wish we were doing this right at the beginning so we can give like our reactions as it was going on. But so far, man, it's been
some predictions.
It's been an insane playoffs. Like, it's been absolutely crazy. Like, this is definitely going to be a memorable Stanley Cup playoffs because there's a lot of teams that are moving on that probably shouldn't be moving on.
All 4 division winners lost.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. It was out of round 1 was, I guess what everyone was talking about was not the Leafs. Maybe that's the most thing I was talking about.
But before you get into that, what's bad when Sportsnet is advertising or promoting a second chance bracket.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, really, like they had one bracket, and then because everyone's bracket got screwed over because of Tampa Bay mainly. They literally had to do a second contest on top of it, doing the second chance bracket. You're not winning the same top prize, but like they had to do another contest because everyone's bracket busted.
If you picked any of the division winners, you were out already. It's pretty crazy, like to think that basically 4 number 1 seeds lost.
Yeah, and 80% of people's brackets had to have been the divisional winners, 100%. Like, if you didn't pick Tampa, that's a ballsy pick in my eyes. Because I didn't do it, and I was going to pick Tampa. I was going to pick Tampa in 5 games. That was going to be my pick.
See, I was going to say Tampa was going to lose, but I didn't think they were going to lose in the first. I thought they were going to just go past Columbus, and then I thought whoever they played in the Bruins or Leaf series was going to beat them. But
I predicted, like, the way I was going to do it was going to have Tampa Bay 3-0, like, come out of the gate, win the first 3 games. Columbus wins 1, and then Tampa Bay seals the deal on the 4th game.
Yeah, but
the 5th game.
The way it ended up working out, though, like after I saw what was going on, and just Columbus just looked like the hungrier team, and the way that everybody was saying, and I agree with it, and it makes a lot of sense, is that Tampa hasn't been playing meaningful hockey for the last 3 months. They've just been coasting through,
been autopilot,
beating everybody, not really caring. They're just playing hockey. They're not really into it right now. Columbus has been playing playoff hockey for about the last month and a half, trying to get into the playoffs. So they've been grinding. They've been doing what it takes to try to win these games, to try to get in the playoffs. And they were in a playoff mode, and Tampa was still out to lunch on vacation or something for the last 3 months. And it clearly showed when Columbus just came out of the gates flying, and Tampa just really had no answer for it.
And I would hope so, because what Columbus did at the deadline, they were the biggest guys at the deadline. They were the big boys. They came in, they stole a bunch of players, and they kept Panarin and Bobrovsky, even though everyone at the deadline was like, okay, these guys are gone. They're going to be UFAs. They're not re-signing both of them. They're going to have to move them now. They were kind of in a playoff spot, I believe, at the time of the trade deadline, and then they kind of slipped. As soon as they made all those acquisitions, they barely made it in the playoffs. I'm like, oh man, I was getting scared, because 3 weeks leading up to the playoffs, I was like, could you imagine Columbus not making the playoffs after making all those trades?
I think that was the problem with when they got so many new players. It took a while for them all to mesh with all of their current players. Mm-hmm. So it's showing now. Duchesne's playing great hockey, but Columbus they shocked the world and not only won the series, they swept the President's Trophy winners, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Like, oh my God! Like, swept. They put this into perspective, people. Tampa Bay finished with tying the all-time wins record in the NHL this year, so that's already a crazy stat right off the bat. They had Kucherov putting up like 80s and 90s numbers up this year, like doing it with ease too. Like, Kucherov just does it with like ease, like he's been here before. Like, it's insane how much of a good player this guy is, and especially on the contract he is now. I know he signed it at a time where they weren't expecting him to put up 125 points, but the contract he's on now is insane, especially their goalie. Vasilevsky is making $3.5 million a year. The guy that gets nominated 2 years in a row for Vezina is making $3.5 million.
Braden Point had a breakout year this year as a second-line center behind Stamkos.
That's also big for them. I don't know how they're going to re-sign him. That guy's good.
They got a leg.
Either that, or you offer sheet him, because you can get a lot for him. That guy is going to make anywhere upwards from 9.5 and up, and I believe it's 10. I believe the compensation this year is anything above 10.5 is 4 first-round picks. So, and if it's just below, which I think Braden Point's going to be just below that, it's crazy. He might get an $11 million offer. If he doesn't, it's 2 first-round picks, a second and a third. So you're still getting a shit ton of assets for that.
We might have to do off-season previews for each team.
I'm down for that.
do a few, like maybe 3 or 4 in one episode. Do like a whole division.
So Stamkos is at 8.5 for forever, so they're fine with him. Ryan Callahan's, I don't think he's making 5.8 in 2 years.
I think they're going to try to dump him on somebody. Yeah. I think they're going to try to trade somebody that's valuable and try to dump Callahan's contract onto somebody.
Okay, so here's the crazy part. So I totally forgot that Nikita Kucherov signed his extension already. So he's making 9.5 starting next year. But for this year, they only paid him 4.7 to get 125 points.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and they don't have Yzerman there anymore to work his magic. Now, Julian Brisebois.
Yeah, and Yanni Gourde starting next year making 5.1 a year, which I think is kind of a ripoff. So
he had 1 year.
That kind of shot themselves in the foot there.
Yeah, the guy had 1 good year, and they already gave him a big contract like that.
Their biggest thing is they have 4 defensemen coming off the books this year. Anton Strawman, Braden Coburn, Dan Girardi, and Yanni Ruda. Oh. I can see maybe 2 out of the 4 staying.
Yeah, well, they really got to try to get Point signed somehow. and even not even just that, avoiding somebody offer sheeting them and them not being able to sign.
And
him.
here's the big thing: is if you want to try to re-sign Point next year, you also got. They're also thinking about this, Brandon. Next year is Andre Vasilevsky's contract year.
Great.
So good luck, Tampa Bay. But yeah, that was the big thing out of the first round this year was Tampa Bay getting swept by unlikely candidate of Columbus.
Yeah,
and that was just
everybody was saying poor Columbus. They went all in at the trade deadline, and their prize was facing Tampa in the first round.
That's also a big thing that everyone's talking about is the playoff format, which. Me and you, obviously, we agree with that we hate it. The current playoff format is actually really bad.
I mean, that matchup would have happened regardless, but the other matchups it screws over are the really good teams. Like, not even just saying it. I hate both teams, but the Bruins and the Leafs, that really, like, they were basically the 2 and 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference, and they had to play each other in the first round. I just think that's not fair.
The way it looks in our division, unless things change drastically, we're playing the Bruins in the first round for the next 3 years. I'm just saying. Because if playoff format doesn't change, we're playing them every year. So there's no other way around it. Unless Tampa Bay doesn't do anything. Like, if Tampa Bay slips off the face of the earth next year, which I think they might, and the Bruins take over first place, we have a chance of facing someone else because I don't think we're going to take over first place. If Tampa Bay doesn't do the same next year as this year, Boston's is first place in the division, 100%.
And the Leafs match up better against Tampa. They like the Bruins are just a bad matchup all around for the Leafs, and they haven't been able to prove what they can do against other teams because they keep having to play the Bruins in the first round because of this terrible playoff format.
Might as well talk about that again. This is why it sucks being a Leaf fan, and we go through. This is the third time we've gone through this losing in Game 7 to the same team. And now everyone is calling for everybody's heads. Now, I'm not one of these Leaf fans out there, if you guys have read and comments and stuff that are sitting there calling for everybody's head. Fire Babcock, fire Dubas, fire this, fire that. Let's chill out, okay, everybody? Let's take it. I know we're upset about losing in this way. I understand. We're losing in the same way to the same team for the third time in like, the last 5 to 6 years. You know, it is frustrating.
Including but 2 years in a row.
We can't let that frustration take over our decision-making. Like, people are calling for Dubas to get fired. I'm like, he's had 1 year, and you want him fired. He's had 1 year where he's brought in Tavares, Jake Muzzin, and you want to fire this guy? And he drafted Rasmus Sandin,
who's already their number 1 defense prospect.
But we want to fire him. Like, oh my God! Like every fan base has their idiots out there, and the ones out there are making me laugh so much.
And the whole Nylander thing, he's getting a lot of scrutiny too. People are saying that he's played his last game as a Leaf.
Okay, that I'm only 10% for that because I know we are going to be in cap trouble to try to sign Marner and keep everybody. The only thing I don't agree with is the people out there are saying that he's overpaid. Are you guys like high right now? You realize that Nylander is going to be making only 6.8 for the next 5 years. When everyone else is going to be making upwards to 10 and up because the cap is going up, that means players like Nylander or even shittier than Nylander are going to be getting paid more than him.
Yeah, and they keep comparing it to the Pasternak deal, which he signed a few years ago, which Pasternak should be making a lot more than 6.5.
Yeah. So watch, Nylander's going to come back in the next 2 years, get like a 70, 60-point season, and we're going to be laughing because we're paying him $6.8 million.
Yeah, I mean, the guy missed basically half of the season, so what did you expect him to do? He was out of shape. Like, he's going to play in the World Championships this year, so they'll basically carry on his season.
You know what I do? And I hope he does good. I hope he's like the leading scorer in the World Championships, just so I can like people these people that are giving shit to Nylander can calm down. People, calm down. Every fan, like I said, every fan base has their idiot fans out there. The ones that are driving me nuts right now, calling for Dubas's head and Nylander's head. Babcock is another thing that's I'm on the fence about because if this guy doesn't adapt to what the NHL is becoming today, and doesn't adapt to what his team actually is, I wouldn't mind a change in position in coaching because what we got this year in the playoffs actually frustrated me, and I agree with the frustration because he played like there were times where he was playing Patrick Marleau and Hainsey more than Austin Matthews.
Matthews played 4 minutes in the third period of the Game 7.
That's embarrassing.
And a friend of mine brought it up to me that Frederic Gauthier's last shift in that game was with 6 minutes left in the game.
The fourth line should be touching the ice in the third period down that much. You should be playing the first and second line every other shift. The third line once in a while. And the other thing he should have put why was Nylander never played with Matt? Why were they not paired together? Why were they ever not paired together? I hate the excuse that, it's because Kadri's out. No, you could put Marleau at center.
Marleau has played center in his career.
And if he relies so much on Marleau, why didn't he rely on him in that? That would have been the perfect time to rely on him. Okay, Kadri's out. We need you to step up, be a third-line center. We're going to move Nylander up with Matthews because they have insane chemistry. It's like Babcock magically forgot that. And then you could just move one of Janssen or Kapanen down to the third line. It was that easy. But, again, he's a stubborn-ass coach. He plays his way or the highway. There's rumors of him and Dubas not getting along. I think that after what we got from the locker room cleanout, that's an apparent thing because Dubas was basically asked or basically people told him, what is Babcock coming back next year? He didn't give a straight answer. So,
and his guy Sheldon Keefe from Sault Ste. Marie is doing a great job with the Marlies this year. Yeah. So that could be another reason why they might not want to lose him.
Sheldon Keefe is the most highest paid AHL coach.
Yeah,
he's getting paid millions above than what every other coach is making in the AHL.
Yeah.
So.
And Dubas might be feeling the heat with that because I've heard that Sheldon Keefe is drawing a lot of interest, including from Buffalo, for their head coaching vacancy. So maybe in an attempt to not lose Sheldon Keefe, he says bye-bye to Babcock. But again, Mike Babcock is a very well-respected and accomplished coach in the league, so it would be hard to just move on from him, especially what they're paying him.
It's just something's got to give. Babcock, you're not coaching the 2009 Red Wings. Okay, it's not the same team.
It's not a bunch of piano movers out there.
You can't coach that way with this team. This team is built differently. It's built for speed. It's built for skill. Stop relying on your old veteran guys that are not getting it done. That's how the Bruins were killing us.
And the Bruins, they just finished checks. The Leafs just didn't do enough of that.
Yeah. And I'm not going to get into the whole referee thing. That's another story, and I don't want to.
And the Kadri thing obviously didn't help.
No, that was a stupid bonehead move by Kadri. He really didn't need to do that.
I've got a couple comments from some Leaf fans that I trust as knowledgeable Leaf fans, not these ones that are just
the people on Sportsnet and TSN's comments. Gotcha.
And it was basically the same thing from all of them that basically said. Not being able to match Boston physically, not being able to win the big game. Here it is. Kadri suspension 1, Babcock's lack of changes in decision making, stubbornness, unwillingness to change the lineup, Leafs' inability to close out the series when they had a chance to in 4, 6, and 7. Special teams, Leafs didn't do enough on the PP and the PK wasn't great. Losing Kadri limited some flexibility for Babcock. Couldn't throw Nylander alongside Matthews because of it, although I agree that he could have put Marleau there if he really wanted to. And ice time severely mismanaged by Babcock. Didn't shorten his bench in the final period of Game 7.
It's true. And it's annoying watching as a Leaf fan that they could be doing so much better. And there's times when I was watching the playoffs, I'm like, okay, Babcock's got to make a change here. The Bruins are shuffling their lines. Why are we not shuffling their lines? And that brings back the stubbornness of Mike Babcock. He won't do it because he sticks to his formula and he will not change. we saw it. The biggest thing is we saw it in the season.
Yeah,
that's where you're supposed to test these out. You're supposed to, in this regular season, a midway game where you're losing. Okay, you're going to test out. Okay, maybe we should move. I don't know, Marner with Matthews. We'll try that out. See how that works. And he made these changes throughout the season while I was watching. Oh my God, and it actually worked.
Yep.
But when it came down to the playoffs, he literally did nothing. He kept the same lines every game and didn't change them.
Did he make one lineup change?
No.
Out of the 7 games?
No.
Not one?
Not
even a
Kadri,
line change?
Not until Kadri got hurt.
Okay.
Or got suspended.
Did he even change up the lines at all?
No. They were the same throughout the entire playoffs.
And the only other criticism that I see from my Leaf friends is that role players not showing up, like Marleau, Brown, Nylander, Johnson, Kapanen.
I think Marleau was hurt. That's my guess. He didn't look like the Patrick Marleau of last year or earlier this year. I think he's banged up. Especially Boston banged him up a lot. He was getting banged up throughout that entire series.
And
he's old.
He's getting old.
It's gonna catch up to him eventually. This guy's not Superman.
And again, he's gonna slow down. He's at that age. You look at Joe Thornton in the playoffs. He can only do about 30-second shifts, and he's gassed.
And that's what I'm saying. The NHL is transitioning to a faster game. If you're not transitioning to that faster game, you're going to get left behind, and we got left behind the Bruins. The Bruins took advantage of that, saw we were playing only our veterans who are slow, and they decided to bang us up.
And you look at Game 7, too, Boston, like, their top line got shut down, and they just got scoring from their depth. You look at their guys that scored Nordstrom,
of course,
Corrali.
It was from the two guys that they picked up the deadline, of course.
Yeah, and Marcus Johansson, Coyle.
Yeah.
And it was just the depth of Boston just outdid them in Game 7.
And then it was hilarious because the games that they won, Boston, they made like interesting changes. Like they took Pasternak off the top line.
Yep.
To shuffle the lines and to win those games, and it worked. Babcock, why weren't you not taking people off the top line? They could have done a super line of like Nylander on the wing with Marner and Tavares.
Yeah.
That would have been like a big third period thing to do, and just do it. Yeah. What do you got to lose in Game 7 of the third period?
Babcock got completely outcoached by Bruce Cassidy in that series.
It's got to give one day.
And the Leafs have a better roster, I believe. Like the Bruins don't have anywhere close to the center depth that the Leafs have.
And I think that's what made it more heartbreaking. This literally was more heartbreaking to me than the 2013 year.
Because that team really wasn't meant to go anywhere.
No. Even the one last year. Last year we were still kind of green. Like I was hopeful, but I wasn't that hopeful.
Or even when they lost to Washington, like they were just the young up and coming team trying to.
That was a miracle. I didn't care what happened in that playoffs. I was just like, we made it. I was like, damn, like Curtis McElhinney stole the show.
And then they took Washington to the limit.
Yeah.
But this year, obviously, we get in Tavares. Everybody picked them to be a cup contender.
Like before the deadline, like there was just like this was it. This was the year. This was the opportunity to go far. This was the year to do it, and we didn't because of. Again, it sucks because most of it was due to poor coaching and players not showing up. Nylander was a ghost throughout the entire playoffs.
Matthews showed up once in a while.
Yeah, he showed up late. He could have had a hotter start in the beginning of the first couple of games. He showed up late. The only guys that showed up basically were Mitch Marner in the fourth line. The fourth line throughout the first couple of games were the best line. And that's sad. The fourth line should not be your best line.
Freddie, I mean, he had a couple soft goals, but for the most part, he was, the MVP of the team like he always is.
Of course, doesn't get nominated for Vezina. Again, snubbed for the second year, or even the Hart, snubbed for the second year in the row.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Again, this playoff format's got to change because you can't have teams like that matchup, the San Jose Vegas matchup, and the Winnipeg St. Louis matchup should not have been first round matchups at all.
It sucks, man. I love the 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5 format from years ago. That was sweet.
Yeah.
Like, was it the 1 year? I forget what year it was. It might have been 2010, but it was like the 7. It was 2010. The Flyers. When they made it to the conference finals. That was the 7th and 8th seed in the conference finals.
Yep. And the Kings won the cup as the 8th seed in 2012, I think.
Yeah. So this format sucks. Even the league says it sucks. It's bad when it's coming from the players and the GMs saying like it needs to be changed.
Their excuses, they're trying to create rivalries within the division. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
The rivalry's there throughout the season.
Not even that. Like, they play in the same division. They're going to have rivalries already. Why do they need to play in the playoffs every year? If they play in the playoffs and it happens naturally, that's a lot better than you trying to force it happening in the first round, like Toronto-Boston. If they would have just ended up playing in the conference final, that would have meant a lot more than, oh, great, we got to play the Bruins in the first round again.
Yeah. Missed opportunities.
Yep.
So we'll go over more of the first round. I mean, Washington and Carolina, that was a big one. I think people thought Washington were going to walk through Carolina, but the bunch of jerks do it again.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of the series, but Carolina ended up coming back and winning 4-3. It was just like taking out the defending champions.
They're crazy this year, man. They're doing this with Peter Mrazek and Grandpa Kurt.
Grandpa Kurt, baby.
In net. And then you look at their roster and like, yeah, they have a good team, but they don't have a deep playoff team. Especially now that they're up 3-0 against the Islanders. These guys are going to make the conference finals with that team. With a coach that's barely making any money, too. I'm just going to point this out that they're literally turning the narrative of what it takes to become a playoff team with this. Like this year, we're getting a lot of narratives turning of what it takes to go deep into the playoffs. It doesn't mean you go out and get a $5 million plus coach, you get the best players at the deadline, and you're walking through. Like it's crazy. I'm loving what Carolina does. I wanted Carolina as soon as the first round was over, and I had to pick a team to watch throughout the entire series because the Leafs were gone. I picked Carolina.
No more storm surge, but
And
Justin Williams is doing a great job leading that team.
He showed why he was Mr. Game 7 too in the first round against his former team.
Yeah. He's getting into it with Ovi.
Yeah, that was great.
But, I mean, they do have some really high-end skilled players, but if you look at the depth of their team, you're like, they're not a lot of household names.
No.
And even their decor is very solid, but doesn't get a lot of love besides Dougie Hamilton.
Oh, God, I want Brett Pesce. If wanting Brett Pesce wasn't more apparent to me earlier this year, I want him even more now because I've been watching him like a hawk these playoffs. I'm like, I still think Carolina and Toronto are talking. There were talks right before the deadline ended between these two. If I was the Leafs and Dubas, I'd want Pesce even more. I watched him like a hawk. This guy was crucial in a lot of defensive plays that sold it for Carolina against Washington, man. This guy is such a good puck mover. We need this. He's the defenseman we need. Get rid of Zaitsev. Get that guy out of town, okay?
Zaitsev's great without the puck.
And I'll give him credit. Muslim Lake made him look really good these playoffs. That was the best I've ever seen Zaitsev in his entire tenure with Toronto. But yeah,
Ron Hainsey.
Yeah,
but even Calvin DeHaan's playing really good against his former team in this series, the Islanders. Yeah. Speaking of the Islanders, they came out sweeping Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Which I'm not too upset about it because.
So is this the beginning of the end? Is this going to be the like how Chicago, there was that one playoff series where like, hey,
they got swept by Nashville.
Yeah, they were like, okay, this might be the start of the rebuild. Like this is gonna be it. I think this might be it for Pittsburgh. We're gonna transition here. I don't think we're gonna. I mean, you look at their players, you look at their team. Like everyone's old. They're not that 2009 Pittsburgh Penguins anymore. They're.
Yeah,
I mean, Matt Murray's just a glass house. The guy gets hurt out every other week during the season. Like,
I mean, Crosby's not going anywhere. He's a Penguin for life. But I could definitely see them moving on from Malkin if the right offer came to them.
You know what? If I was them, I would do it. You know what? You got to start fresh here. You got some promising rookies coming up as well. Excuse me, as well. Especially you have a guy like Gensel now that he's signed to $6 million a year for their future.
The best passenger in the league.
Like it's just they I think they need to start rethinking maybe not going full rebuild but retooling their team. So like I'm looking at their team now. Obviously I think they're gonna have to try to move on from Kessel as well. Like the guy's just unless they have plans to keep this guy, he's gotta be moved. So I'd get rid of Malkin, Kessel.
They gotta improve their defense too.
Hornquist I'd be on the fence of keeping. I'd keep Bukestad. That was a good pickup by them. Yeah. The guy's a stud.
If he stays healthy, he's a good player. But
Brian Russ is all right when he wants to be. And again, like I said, Jake Gensel. They have other players coming up like Daniel Sprong. Like they have the tools to have an accelerated. Let's see if I can put this into better terms. An accelerated rebuild.
Yeah,
they have the tools to do that. Obviously, Letang's not going anywhere. He's their heart and soul. Gone. Like Justin Schultz, I can probably see a guy moving. They like Dumoulin. Oli Mata is not broken out yet.
Eric Goodbranson, yikes.
That's a scary contract. $4 million a year for a guy that barely makes a bottom pair.
And even Oli Mata, I don't even know what to think of that guy.
Yeah.
Because he was a high pick, got like a lot of potential, but he's just...
Peterson's promising. The guy had a really decent playoffs, even though they got swept. He looked all right out there. But yeah, Matt Murray. Like, what do you do with this guy? I know he's 24 years old, but he's in a glass house. Like,
well, they must believe in Casey DeSmith, I guess.
Who's making one? They extended him 1.2 for 3 years. So
I mean, you can't go full rebuild when you have Sidney Crosby on your team.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna have to retool it. But I mean, getting swept by the Islanders, maybe it was a wake up call for Jim Rutherford to say, "Hey, we got to make some changes." Because I mean,
so maybe not full rebuild, but accelerated to a point where they're just retooling a lot of stuff. And I got our boy Blake Siebeneller on the team.
Sure, but the Islanders, man. I mean, I know that whole stuff that happened with them and the Leafs with the whole Tavares thing, but I'm happy for the Islanders. The fact that they're going back between they're going back between buildings.
Yeah.
That's why they haven't been doing well. They've been playing at the Barclays Center for the second round. If they would have been playing at the Coliseum, maybe it would have been different. Would have got we don't need you chance, and
I guess they really don't need. I guess they kind of sound like they need Tavares right now. I'm just saying. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I was literally gonna post a John Tavares gif eating popcorn yesterday when when Carolina went up 3-0. I'm like, nah, I won't be that guy. I won't be that guy.
But those were two series that like were shocking, but I wasn't able to catch a lot of those series as far as watching their games. But two upsets for sure. Washington and Pittsburgh getting knocked out by Carolina and the Islanders.
Like no one, like I think that might have ruined people's brackets too.
Yeah.
I think people must have picked Pittsburgh and Washington to move on to get another matchup between these two.
Plus, again, for ratings and that, I'm sure Bettman wasn't happy that it wasn't Washington and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you
once
think
again.
about it, a lot of top stars in the NHL were gone in the first round.
Yep.
So now, like you look at who's left, and you're like, if you look who's left, you obviously get the guys in the Sharks. Colorado, you got McKinnon, Tarasenko in St. Louis. Like the Binnington thing is also nice too. It's a good feel-good story. Sagan and Ben in Dallas. I mean, they got stars, but they don't have the main ones.
Yeah, the superstars.
Speaking of the West, the first round of the West was interesting. I mean, we had a lot of sweet matchups. But like you said, there's a lot of matchups that, shouldn't have been in the first round. So Nashville faced off against Dallas.
That was tough because Nashville, I mean, they come in as the Central Division winners, although they hadn't been playing great down the stretch, but they only won the division basically because Winnipeg played like absolute garbage the last month and a half of the season.
But they're such a good team on paper. I just don't understand how
Nashville, they couldn't get any scoring late in the year, and their defense really let them down. And like they have one of the best decors on paper in the league, but they didn't show up in the playoffs.
Well, the big thing was, I think everyone was talking about, was like they even went out. They were the ones to score Wayne Simmons at the deadline, and
then he got hurt.
He got hurt. Like
yep.
I mean, it's just like,
and he wasn't even playing well before that. He was a healthy scratch for Rocco Grimaldi, who was their best player throughout the whole series. When Rocco Grimaldi's your best player during the series, you got a problem. And then they got Brian Boyle, who had he got hurt too.
Which both are UFAs, like Simmons and Boyle. So I don't know if they're coming back next year.
No, but Kyle Turris was a huge disappointment for them.
Yeah.
Really regressed this year. They need to find another top six
$6
forward.
million until 2024. By the way,
so they're gonna have to dump his contract onto somebody. Good luck with that. But Dallas came in, and I didn't really believe in Dallas's decor. But
well, I mean, who would you keep? Would you like you're battling two spots here because Granlund can play right wing if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Do you keep Kyle Turris second line center? Or do you make Granlund go second line center? Because you have Craig Smith as your rock in your third line.
Granlund's more right wing, but he, from what I know and have heard, he didn't really show up since he was traded. He just wasn't able to transition from Minnesota very well.
Wow.
But
it was shocking to me. I thought Nashville would have been the one team to at least get to the conference final, if not the finals. They were one of my picks in the West.
And Dallas, I just don't know what to think of Dallas. Like they're just like a team that I'm like, like I like parts of their team, but then I don't like other parts.
I don't know how they're going through that. To me is like what's shocking to me is like how they're keeping up. Like I didn't think Ben Bishop was that. I mean, I knew Ben Bishop was a good goalie, but he's been surprising me a little bit. I guess it's some of the old Bishop coming out finally
from Tampa.
Obviously, they have their studs that are always going to be their studs. With Ben, obviously, Radulov, Sagan.
Radulov really burned his old team in that series.
Their overtime goal to seal the series was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. The freaking Ben to Sagan drop pass to Klingberg, who passed it over. I forget to who like wired it in. Like it was just the sweetest looking overtime goal I've ever seen.
Yeah, Zuccarello's been a good addition for them too.
Oh yeah, the Zook chance followed him, and every time he touched the puck, the Zook.
Mm-hmm. And the emergence of Klingberg and Heiskanen becoming really good young defense. Well, Klingberg's older, but
they're just a good mix of speed and skill I think that's pushing them through.
Yeah, and I don't know how their depth's holding up, but
and I guess
somehow
you can say theatrics with Essa Lindell. Like it's just it's getting good stuff there.
That's a joke.
I've never seen so many dives.
He dove 4 times in one play. Robert Bortuzzo screaming at the referee, just saying like this guy's just falling over. They gave him an embellishment penalty. I think it warrants a 1-game suspension because you can't just go around just diving
isn't
like
it
that.
Fine? Isn't it like its embellishment's a fine?
This isn't soccer, okay? Yeah. Like that was like Brad Marchand level of bad. Yeah. Like that was borderline embarrassing. The fact that he just like fell on 4 straight plays.
Well, I don't think he's going to be sticking unless they love him more than I think they do, because you have Miro Heiskanen and Julius Honka coming behind to take his second line D line spot. Other than that, Ben Lovejoy as good as gone.
I mean,
So
yeah, he's not a
Klingberg,
bad player, but like he can't be doing stuff like that. Like,
Neverboy Jamie Alexiak on our team, former Niagara Ice Dog.
yeah, you gotta throw that in there. But I just don't know how this team's holding up with their depth. They've got a few nice stories like Matt Zuccarello playing well coming over from the Rangers.
Right.
Their rookie Roop Hintz has actually been really good. He scored 5 goals in this playoffs.
Roop Hintz.
Roop Hintz, what a name. And Jason Spezza not looking like an old bum that he has looked in the last couple of years.
They're sweet, man. They have a Dallas is going to be that much better like the years going forward because their rookie prospect pool is huge with Ty Dellandrea, Dennis Gurianov, Jason Robertson, Niagara Ice Dog this year. He's got an entry-level deal signed with them for the next 3 years, so he's either going to make the team out of camp next year or play in the AHL. So, and the list goes on with their prospects as well. So they have a pretty good amount of prospects. So,
but I was shocked to see them not or get past Nashville because Nashville obviously being a perennial playoff contender the last couple of years, it was
right.
And they finally didn't have to play Winnipeg, which everybody said, okay, now they don't have to play Winnipeg. Maybe they got a shot. And then
Winnipeg played St. Louis, and they just got. I was so disappointed with Winnipeg. Like I felt so bad for them because of this year's playoffs.
Before the season started, I had Winnipeg going to the finals because
they were on the cover of the magazine to be the Stanley Cup champions last year.
You look at their team up and down.
Earlier this year.
They can play any style. They're fast. They're physical. They got so much top end talent. Their defense is really solid. They got real Hellebuck. I don't know.
They're another team that might be in cap trouble.
Yeah,
because you have to figure out what they want to do with Kevin Hayes.
They're not close with Trouba apparently, so that's also a bad thing.
Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor, oh man, are they in trouble?
They're gonna want to get paid. So
especially Laine, the guy, just because of his attitude, this guy's gonna be getting. He's gonna be like, I want $3 million more than Austin Matthews, and I won't take a penny less.
And getting past St. Louis, they were in last place in the NHL, turning over to 2019, and then they all of a sudden just started, going off. I'm not going to say it was all because of Craig Berube as head coach, but they finally started to get healthy. Their guys finally started to play well together. Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah, I guess he's playing well. Our former Ice Dog again,
Vince Dunn. He learned how to play defense somehow because he sure as hell didn't know how to play defense in Niagara.
Ooh.
But a little jab there. But Ryan O'Reilly, I guess he found his passion for hockey once again because he seems to be playing really well. And he's a Selke candidate for St. Louis, of course.
Wow.
But wow, St. Louis getting through. They're just the hot team right now. Like they've just been playing the best hockey since January, and nobody's been able to slow them down.
And I think the guy has been a ghost. Like we talk about like ghosts for teams throughout the playoffs and even early, like later in the season. Patrick Laine, like what the hell? Like I've literally heard nothing about him for like the last 5 months. Like he's been a ghost. Like he was the big thing they talked about all year last year.
Yeah, he had a really down year as far as
he only had 50 points and he played 82 games.
Yeah, he was in the single digits of assists until February.
And this guy is going to want more money than Austin Matthews. Good luck.
And the thing that guy needs to do is score goals, and he hasn't even been doing that.
No.
So he's the guy that's under a lot of scrutiny over there.
Could you imagine he'd want to walk?
Well, he's an RFA, so
go to another team at least.
Apparently, there was a rumor at the trade deadline that they explored options. Meanwhile, I don't know how far those discussions got, but apparently they did. His name did get brought up, but
I wouldn't doubt they did that. But look at their team; they got guys that are easy, like they can easily replace him. If not, they don't need him that much. Like they have Ehlers, Scheifele, Kyle Connor. They better resign, or else that's going to be a huge let go.
Yeah, he's a beast.
If they let that guy go to if they qualify him, oh man, you got actually terrible news just now. Hockey legend Red Kelly just passed away at the age of 91. Former Red Wing and Detroit Red Wing. Detroit Red Wing and Toronto Maple Leaf.
Red Kelly. At what age?
91.
91.
Yeah. He won 8 Stanley Cups and was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1969. He also finally made it to Legends Row after years of not wanting to come and do anything to do with Toronto. Obviously, there's the history of him in the Toronto Maple Leafs franchise, and then they finally got him a banner and they put him on Legends Row. That was a big deal for him and the organization, but I guess rest in peace to Red Kelly, and I guess we might as well, while we're talking about it, rest in peace to that Vancouver athletic sports director who just recently died at 48 from heart failure, which is too young of an age for heart failure.
Yeah,
So.
an avid TSN contributor, things like that. It's shocking. Yeah. But
anyways, rest of the West playoffs for the first round. Calgary faced off against Colorado, and everyone had Calgary over Colorado. Man, everyone. I don't remember hearing
number
one
person. Seed in
I don't.
West.
I don't remember hearing one person saying, "Yeah, Colorado's winning."
Colorado, they've just got a really good, fast, young team. Like you look at their guys, like even on their decor, Cale Makar coming in late, and Sam Girard. Those two are just unbelievable. Like they're so
together.
Fast.
They paired them together. Look at that. Let's try a out there pairing in the playoffs and see if it works. Yeah, isn't that something, Mike Babcock? Maybe we should be trying stuff in the play. I don't know. I'm just being sour.
You got two, basically a second-year player and a rookie playing together in the playoffs, and they've been their best D pair by far, leading them into the second round here.
The stud from the regular season, Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah,
who I traded to you in fantasy hockey.
My boy Mikko Rantanen, love him.
Who's gonna have a massive contract going into next year.
Yeah,
they got some people to re-sign. They got JT Compher coming off the books. They have to re-sign Kerfoot. Don't know if they're re-signing Sven Adrigato.
And
Cole Wilson.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate they didn't win the lottery with Ottawa's pick.
Oh man, if they had won the lottery and gone on, they could potentially win the Stanley Cup this year. Just think about that. But, even if they didn't get the first overall, they have the 4th overall pick.
And they're still going to get a really good player to add to their core, and I assume it's going to be a forward.
Insane.
Because they definitely need some more scoring depth. That's a big issue for them right now. Besides their top 2 lines, the rest of their lines aren't doing much of anything.
Oh, yeah. They're whoever they pick with that 4th overall pick, they're playing next year in the NHL.
Yeah, Matt Nieto is like one of their leading scorers, which is sad.
Matt Nieto.
Yeah, he scored 2 goals in the series against the Sharks so far. But I mean, obviously Nathan McKinnon's just lighting it up. The guy's unbelievable. You watch him out there; he looks like he's just like a knife going through butter, like just skating through everybody, just with ease.
But man, McKinnon was huge in that series with Calgary. That one overtime goal he got.
Yeah,
that was insane. I think it was the overtime goal.
It was.
Yeah,
that was in Calgary too, so that was huge. And obviously, what Rantanen has been doing has been exceptional too. Him and McKinnon have been leading the way. Landeskog's been kind of non-existent as far as points, but it's not really his thing. He's not there to put up massive points. He's there to be the power forward, grind in the corners, get in front of the net, do all the dirty work for them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're just a really young, fast, dynamic team, and they're really fun to watch. If you watch their games or have a chance to watch their games, I recommend it because they're a really exciting team to watch. Especially at home when they get on the penalty, when they kill off a penalty, they play the Super Mario mushroom sound effect. Yep. If you watch one of their games, it's fantastic when they come off the penalty kill.
That's funny.
It's a cool ad there. And Grubauer, they said every interview they say he's been their MVP for the last 2 months, leading them into the playoffs. So
he's a stud. I seen him potentially being a starting goalie on another team when he was with Washington and. Looks like it was Colorado. I mean, it sucks for Varlamov, but...
he's a free agent. He's got to go. Yeah. Varlamov's way too inconsistent.
Yeah, Ottawa needs a goalie. Why not?
Ottawa needs a lot of things. But Calgary, they couldn't match Colorado's their speed and their intensity. Yeah. Calgary's obviously got some top-end skill. I think they have one of the best decors in the league. And Mike Smith was probably their best player in the series, but Colorado just came in
firing. Although I heard arguments with that. People were saying that they should have played Rittich instead of...
Apparently Rittich was hurt. He had a knee injury. But Mike Smith, you can't even blame him because the guy played unbelievable. He made almost 60 saves in the one game.
This is the best Mike Smith goalie
overtime.
I've seen in a long time. I think it was back to when he was with back in Phoenix the early Phoenix when he was stealing games.
Yeah, and he was on Team Canada.
Yeah, wasn't he the third pairing?
The third goalie.
For 2010 games or
the best job to have. You don't do anything,
and you still got a gold medal.
He did.
I'm a gold medal goalie, but I didn't play.
Exactly. But yeah, Colorado, they came in guns a-blazing and just took it to Calgary. Yeah. Just kind of like Tampa with Columbus. Columbus just came in wanting it more.
And now they're facing your boys, the San Jose Sharks, and we'll talk about that last now. The San Jose Sharks in Vegas series.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I mean, if it wouldn't be the NHL playoffs, I guess, without controversy. And besides the controversy, it was a pretty tight series.
This is already a rivalry, and it's only 2 years in. Vegas and San Jose can't stand each other. So they played in the first round 2 years in a row, so I guess this is what the NHL wants as far as rivalries. I guess this is what they wanted.
I've been looking forward to this because I really want to know what your opinion was. I held off before even asking you about this. What did you think of the whole controversy with the whole Pavelski thing? And people are saying like, oh, it wasn't even a cross-check. It was kind of like he fell, and the referees let the crowd.
Let me hear yours first. Let me hear your version of it.
So I watched it. I watched from many different angles. I watched it from both commentary sides, from the home commentary and the national commentary. Okay, so I do agree with the fact that the referees kind of let the crowd a little bit influence their decision on that. I think it should have been a penalty, for sure. That's like basically interference. Can't do that. I think the fact that he hit his head off the ice wasn't, I don't think that was the intention. It was just a freak accident that happened the way he fell.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand how there wasn't an arm up right away. That's where I think everything went wrong, that there wasn't an arm up right away by the referee to call a penalty, that they basically just blew the play dead, had a huddle, waited, and while this was happening, the crowd was shitting all over the referees here, and they were losing their minds that there wasn't a call. And that basically, I did not agree with to be kicked out, a game misconduct. That was very, very sketchy to wait that long to do a game misconduct so suddenly like that. And it brings up the point where everyone was saying like maybe there should be reviews for major penalties. I'm yes and no about that because I think all these reviews are making the game slow down even more now.
And then it's like, what's the point of even having officials? If everything's going to be done by a computer, why even have officials?
So
there has to be a human element.
Yeah. So taking that out, I think the referees waited way too long to make that decision, and that was a pretty dumb move to wait that long and then call it a 10-minute penalty. I think at that point they should have just said, okay, fine, we huddled, let's just give him the penalty. Yeah, it sucks what happened.
I was actually shocked when they gave Eakin the 5-minute because it didn't even happen originally, and there was no penalty called. Realistically, if anybody should have got a penalty, it should have been Stastny because he was the one that finished Pavelski off and smashed his head into the.
Well, that's who I thought should have been who should have got the penalty in the first place. That's just you don't just hit someone. That's interference, which is I'm not trying to bring up my series against Boston, but that got let go all the time in our series. But then this was a 10-minute penalty in this series.
5-minute, yeah.
It just shows you how 5 minutes. It just shows you how inconsistent the refereeing has been throughout this playoffs. In that. I can sit there and back that up because referees have been reprimanded in 2 games now in the playoffs. They shouldn't be getting reprimanded.
Or they've been switching officials.
These are NHL referees. They should be they're used to this. These are not rookie refs out of junior. They should be knowing what they're doing. And clearly they are, and I don't know. I think I do agree with that. They kind of let the crowd base their decision on a 5-minute major, and that kind of, this is no excuse to Vegas, though. Vegas, you don't allow 4 goals on the power play. Doesn't matter. Who cares if it was a 5-minute major? You'll let 4 goals in literally 4 minutes on a power play. Play better defense, okay? If you're going to sit there and blame it on the penalty, I'm going to blame it on your defense. That was horrible.
The Sharks.
You let the Sharks walk in on half those goals.
In Game 2 against Colorado, we killed off a 4-minute penalty on Colorado, and our Twitter account posted out, see, you can kill off a 4-minute penalty without giving up a goal. So
that's no
again,
excuse. I know it takes out, and I do agree with the fact that yes, it takes a lot of momentum out of the game because that's a piss off, right? It was just the timing of the penalty. It was really bad.
The Sharks were dead in the water, pun intended, at that point in the game. They really had nothing going on. They had just given up the 3rd goal, and then Pavelski goes out like that, and they rally around. My thought was, this was my response to a friend of mine who said that it shouldn't have been a penalty. Vegas lost because of a bad call. My response to that was, while this is true about the 5-minute power play, that should have been only a 2-minute penalty and on the wrong guy, which the rule states that a major injury is a match penalty. So that's probably why.
Okay.
And they can't blame the entire game on that call. No team scores 4 goals on a 5-minute power play ever.
Yeah.
They had a 3-0 lead, and after the power play was finished, they were down 4-3. Maybe they should look themselves in the mirror instead of making excuses. Gerard Gallant should have called a timeout after the first and second goal to calm his team down, but he chose not to, which was a misplay. They also fought back and tied the game with 47 seconds left with Marchessault. And then in overtime, they had chances to win it too. It was a free game at that point in overtime. while they can say what they want about the call was a turning point of the game, they also got madly outplayed in the last 10 minutes of the third period plus overtime. There were no penalties called, and they just got beat plain and simple in overtime. 5 goals in that allotted time is unheard of, and Fleury's luck ran out. That was my response to somebody about that. And I didn't even add about that Vegas had a 3-1 series lead. They blew the last 3 games of the series and lost, including losing the last 2 in overtime.
I just want to point something else out, too. Vegas had to kill 4 penalties in this game before that even happened. You killed just as much time, if not more, in this game. In this game, they had 3 penalties in the first period. That totals 6 minutes that you killed off.
And the Sharks didn't do anything on those power plays at all. They didn't even get. They got like 2 shots for the 4 power plays before the 5-minute major. So the
excuse saying that the penalty caused the game to cost the game, it was stupid.
I'd like to see in the rule book where a 5-minute penalty equates to 4 goals.
Yeah,
because it doesn't.
No, that was all Vegas' fault. Even the overtime goal, you can't blame the penalty on the overtime goal.
They tied the game with 47 seconds left, so it wasn't like they were completely out of it.
Yeah.
So that's my argument with the thing. Yeah, it shouldn't have been a 5-minute penalty. But again, there's no excuse for Vegas blowing a 3-1 series lead, losing the last 2 games in overtime, including Game 6 at home, and then blowing a 3-0 lead in the last 10 minutes of the game, and losing in overtime.
They're also a team that made some deadline moves that I was shocked went out in the first round.
Yeah, again, that shouldn't have been a first-round matchup once again. Yeah. Another matchup with 2 really good teams.
The acquisition of Pacioretty earlier in the season and Mark Stone.
Mark Stone was a beast in that series. He was such a pain in the ass. Yeah. He scored like 5 or 6 goals in that series. It was just
like this team is built. Like they've definitely accelerated the build process.
They're such a fast physical team too. Like even their fourth line, they'll roll Carrier, Belmar, and Reeves out there like they're a second line. Like they just roll them out. They just gain momentum, and
Fleury's a beast too. Fleury is playing like old Fleury.
Yeah, so, for sure. I think he's playing better than he ever did in Pittsburgh. To be honest,
so they're not out of it yet. You freshly new Vegas fans out there.
And I'm sorry,
they'll be back next year.
This is what Vegas needs.
Yeah, they need a reality check.
They do. You're not going to go to the Cup final every year. Take that from us.
Yeah,
we know what that. You need to go through some adversity, Vegas fans. You need to know what it's like to lose first before
you don't know how to lose in Game 7 3 times in a row with the same team in almost the same fashion. So I don't want to hear it.
You've made the playoffs 2 more times than my team. My favorite team has made it in the last 9 years.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Besides the controversy, it was a good series. Really hard fought series. Went 7 games. That's great. That's what I love about the playoffs when it goes 7 games.
It's definitely a hated rivalry. It was just a lot of bad blood in that series. A lot of injuries.
So they're off against Colorado.
Up 2-1 right now.
2-1.
Big game tonight. Trying to take both games in Colorado. We'll see. But
Dallas, I believe, lost to St. Louis last night. Right?
They won. It's 2-2.
They came back.
Yep.
Okay. So I watched the game late. Didn't watch all of it. Columbus is up, I think, 2-1 on Boston, I believe. So I think that's the other game tonight is Columbus and Boston, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. If Columbus goes up 3-1 on Boston, I mean, I'm happy because I don't like the dynamic of people saying, oh, well, Boston should win and go all the way. That way we can say we lost to the best team. Like, no, we've already went through this before. So why? I don't want to go through it again. I already know what it feels like. So I'd be just happy that they lose because I don't want Boston. I want Boston to get off their freaking high horse already. And the fact that people are defending Brad Marchand is what the hell is? I don't understand this league with the Boston Bruins and how they get away with so much. And you people do not sit here and tell me I'm wrong.
Between Chara and Marchand, they could get suspended every game.
The antics that they do. Okay, we've already seen Marchand this series step on someone's stick, go unmissed, but somehow 3 out of the 4 referees on the ice didn't see Marchand step on the guy's stick. And you watch a replay, I'm like, how? His foot is up in the air and he stomps on it.
Or anytime Zdeno Chara hits somebody, he's basically elbowing them in the head.
Here's a question. What are the other 2 referees looking at? What are they doing at this point in the face-off? What are they watching?
Talking to
Aren't they supposed to be watching the other players and seeing if they're like
No, they like to have conversations with the players.
Well, one referee's on one of the ice. You're telling me no one saw that?
Or even the bullshit that he pulled the other day where he hit him in the back of the head.
Yeah. And I love, was it Thomas Volcanics' response to that? He's like, looks familiar. And he tweeted the video, or someone tweeted the video of when he was on Montreal. And Martian literally did the same thing at the face-off circle, just punch him in the back of the head.
I don't know how these guys get away with it, honestly. Like
that's a fine at least. At least make an example of this. Like the fact the league does absolutely nothing for anything Boston does is a joke. Any other team, suspension. Any other team, a fine. Something. If it was Kadri, Boston would be calling for our fucking heads.
That's the thing.
Kadri would be suspended for the next 3 playoffs for the next 3 years if he did something like that.
And Char is another one too. Like he's just so dirty when it comes to. He just gets away with these little cheap shots. These little
because
these
he's
little
huge.
jabs.
He's allowed to get away with stuff.
My thing is they're cutting him slack because he's been in the league forever, which really shouldn't matter. But it's the respect veteran thing. And then the two,
you know what it is
because he's so big, they think, oh, he's not trying to hit him in the head. He's just much bigger than they are, so his elbow is at head level.
Then he should be smart. I expect him to be smart enough to know when to not punch someone in the back of the head. It's that simple. What is he? Is he an oaf out there? Duh. I don't know what I'm doing.
He clearly knows what he's doing. He's been in the league forever. He knows what he can get away with. He knows.
This guy's not Sloth from the Goonies. He knows what he's doing out there.
And they're smart. They know when to throw their cheap shots. They do it when the refs are turned around or the play's ending.
And it's funny that Marchand does absolutely nothing until Char's on the ice. Then he starts pulling off his antics. I'm just saying. That's another thing. Is little.
And again, look what he did to the Leafs in round 1. He got between him and DeBrusque, they got Kadri. They got under Kadri's skin and basically cost the Leafs a series.
Which is no excuse because Kadri shouldn't have done what he did.
He should have just fought him, and they would have got 5 minutes each, and it would have been over. You can't cross-check a guy in the teeth.
No.
So that's what they do best, and that's what they're doing again.
I don't understand why. Because he's big, he's allowed to get away with it. Bullshit.
And again, even if they lose tonight, I still say they're not out of it because Boston. They found a way back to beat the Leafs.
No, it's going to go back to Boston, and then oh, man, Martin.
What's wrong with their PA announcer?
No, I hate their PA announcer. I hate everything about Boston. Boston fans are literally like Montreal fans. Don't tell me they're not. When every time the Boston Bruins lose, whose fault is it? Tuukka Rask. It's no one else's fault. It's Tuukka Rask's fault. Players are perfect. I laugh. The coach fits right in because the coach defends everything.
Oh, Bruce Cassidy?
Yeah.
And
so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So I'm interested tomorrow night. See if Carolina can finish the job in Carolina. Raleigh's going to go on Raleigh's going to have a freaking heyday if they make it to the conference finals.
Now, if they win, do they do a storm surge if they win the series?
I don't think so. You know what I'm thinking of? I was actually thinking about this morning. I think they're going to wait. If they do, that's just if. They'll do a storm surge in the Stanley Cup Finals if they make it there.
They're a big bunch of jerks.
Yeah, they'll do a storm surge with I can see a storm surge with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but it's been a crazy playoffs with all these big guns going out. It's besides Boston, and nobody else expected these teams in San Jose.
Yeah,
nobody expected these teams to be here at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Islanders, Carolina, come on, Columbus,
right?
Dallas, St. Louis, Colorado. It's a wide open year, and if there's any chance, I think this is the Sharks' best chance they're ever going to have to win it, and they got to do it this year. Or I think it's over, but it's wide open this year.
I'm curious for the West Final. That'd be cool. If San Jose makes it through, and one of Dallas or St. Louis, that'd be a good series.
I still think St. Louis is going to win. They're an unstoppable fucking truck right now. They've just had all the momentum since January, and they are just blowing past these teams, these good teams.
So I guess we can't really make picks now, but the next round we'll make our picks for the finals.
Yeah.
And,
I definitely wouldn't have had these guys in the second round, let's just say that.
Other than that, we don't. I mean, we could briefly go over some news and rumors that's been out there in the NHL world. Obviously, if anyone's heard, Steve Yzerman are back with the Detroit Red Wings organization, and now the big rumor, Pavel Datsyuk potentially coming back to play in the NHL, and he'll only play with the Red Wings.
Yeah, found it here from his agent. Haven't had any business conversation with Steve since he took over as Detroit Red Wings GM. If Pavel wants to come back to the NHL, the only phone call I would make would be Steve Yzerman. He would never, under any circumstance, consider any other team besides the Detroit Red Wings. and he's still playing for SK St. Petersburg, but he's set to become a free agent, so it's possible.
We'll see.
But
him going back, it's just going to be like Yager coming back. There's not going to be anything special to it.
I think it's just going to be like to try to set an example for the kids.
Yeah, I guess.
That's basically it.
Veteran leadership.
But Steve Yzerman coming back's huge. I mean, I think anybody that has a half a brain when he stepped down as Tampa Bay's GM this year knew that he was going back to Detroit at some point. It just makes perfect sense, perfect fit. Ken Holland, he's done a great job as GM for almost I think it's been over 20 years. But I think it's time for him to move into an advisor role.
Right.
And it's perfect time for Yzerman to come in, rebuild the Red Wings, rebuild them back to what they were, making the playoffs every single year. And he said it's going to take time, but he's ready.
Surely.
He's ready for another rebuild with Detroit and his old team. So he's been groomed for this situation. He was under Ken Holland for 4 years between 2006 and 2010 as an advisor to Ken Holland, and now it's all come full circle with him leading the way and Ken Holland being the advisor. So I think it's a great move for Detroit.
Other than that, everyone's wondering about the Oilers. I guess the inside track is Mark Hunter is one of the leading candidates for the GM job. I guess no head coach yet, but Mark Hunter is one interesting one there.
For GM.
Yeah, for GM. For coach, they don't know yet. They're still keeping their options open. I guess this is interesting that New York Rangers are still kicking their guns, and many of the inside still expect John Davidson to be named their president at the conclusion of this round's Columbus Blue Jackets.
So players aren't the only thing Columbus is losing after this year.
Yeah. So Davidson's going to New York. It'd be interesting to see if Jackets win the cup, though. I wonder if he'd still stick around. Be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm staying.
Yeah. So does that mean Tortorella's going back to New York too? Is he going to leave?
They take him back.
I don't think he wants to deal
I think
with
they like
Brooks.
their coach that they have now, though. Anyways, so I think they're still a fan of him
for now.
Yeah, for now. I mean, it's a rebuild. That sucks because I've gone through many coaches through a rebuild process, so I can speak for myself here. Kelly McCrimmon was promoted to GM of Vegas today, and I guess
George McPhee
will be president of hockey operations. So I guess McCrimmon is actually also a leading candidate for the New York president job. So
yikes! I guess that's why they wanted to lock him up.
Yeah, I guess, and rumored roles for the Oilers and/or NHL Seattle team.
NHL Seattle. Oh, God. Another Vegas coming in. Great.
Oh, man. Neil is being traced to the Los Angeles Kings. Apparently, the Los Angeles Kings are keeping an eye out.
Because they need another
James
old
Neal.
guy with making a huge contract. That makes sense.
The Rangers are exploring opportunities with Shattenkirk to be traded. Shat Deuces. Rayla Wilder, one of the people sniffing around.
Would make sense. And the Rangers acquired defenseman Adam Fox from the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for a second-round pick.
Interesting with that guy because he actually chose not to sign with the team he got drafted by.
And he's a Hobie Baker candidate this year. But, of course, another guy that goes to the Rangers after he refuses to sign his college deal. Or his deal out of college. That's a big thing that I can't stand. I could rant about that on a whole other episode, but just the fact that these college players are so much leverage to just not sign and then become free agents and go where they want.
Rangers are making a lot of moves. Like they're signing some. They signed a couple of Russian guys. Igor Shesterkin, and Vitaly Kravtsov is apparently might be going over to the Rangers as well, really highly touted.
And they're probably going to get Capo Caco, so the Rangers are looking up. Philip Chittle's going to be a good player.
They're doing good. I really wanted them to win the first overall pick. When I seen that, I was like, oh.
Jack Hughes in the Rangers uniform, that kind of would make a lot of sense. But they're going to have a good rivalry between Caco and Hughes because it's Rangers and Devils, so they're going to keep that rivalry going. But they got a second-round pick and a conditional third in the 2020 draft for Adam Fox, who is a Hobie Baker candidate.
I guess the Penguins are looking to move Oli Mata this offseason.
Well, here you go.
And apparently the Habs are in on Oli Mata.
Well, they can have him. The other Sabres head coaching vacancy. We still don't have a head coach. I heard Jack Eichel's not in the running, although...
are you sure?
Although he might as well just run everything in that organization because nobody else knows how to do anything. Nobody else knows what it takes to get a winner out there. So
maybe if we fire Babcock, you guys can have him. Just give him a go.
I'll take him. It would come full circle after he snubbed us to get a better deal with the Leafs. But apparently we interviewed not Owen Tippett, Dave Tippett this week. Apparently, I wasn't too fond of it. Apparently, he's really big in analytics. So we'll see it for an old soul like Dave Tippett to be into analytics. I kind of dig it. So there's him. Sheldon Keefe from the Marlies is also a candidate if Dubas allows him to leave.
Staying here.
Gromberg, the coach from Sweden, is also a candidate. And the other candidate that I heard the other day, and I wanted to vomit, was Jacques Martin.
Oh,
why?
I thought I heard he was going back to Ottawa.
I hope they can have him. They can sign him to a 10-year deal. I don't care. I don't want to go back to this 80s and 90s garbage of what a GM needs to be.
Martin.
If they hire Jacques, or what a coach should be, if Jacques Martin was the coach, they would just go so far back. I'm tired of these dinosaur coaches coming back. They don't add anything. Unless they somehow miraculously change their ways.
And maybe Edmonton will hire Phil Housley.
I mean, go ahead. That guy doesn't know how to put lines together at all or play as good players or know what good players are. But, so those are the 4 candidates for the Sabres.
I don't think
opening
you'd want
right
Babcock because you'd probably just sign someone old and he'd get the most minutes out of anyone on your
team. So
team.
you're telling me Jason Pominville would be our leading time on ice?
Yeah, he'd be playing 28 minutes a night over Jack Eichel who played 10.
Give him a good player, good opportunities.
Yeah. Other than that, I'll just go over quickly over some of the award nominations this year for the NHL. The James Norris, we got Hedman, Giordano, and Burns. I'd argue maybe Morgan Riley should be in there. I'm going to leave it at that. Victor Hedman, sure, I guess. I would have picked Burns, Giordano, and Riley, but that's me being a biased Leaf fan.
Yeah, Giordano definitely deserved to be in there this year. He had a great year for Calgary.
The King Clancy Memorial Trophy is Lundqvist, Ekman Larson, and Jason Zucker to the player that best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice.
Jason Zucker.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
Nominees for the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award to the player that best exemplifies leadership qualities to his team on and off the ice during the regular season and who plays a leading role in the community growing the game of hockey. We got Mark Giordano, so he's nominated again. Wayne Simmons on Nashville. And Justin Williams on Carolina.
Justin Williams is a big one there.
Yeah. We also got the Ted Lindsay finalists, Patrick Kane, Nikita Kucherov, and Connor McDavid.
Yeah, makes sense.
People were arguing Connor McDavid in there. I'm going, ooh, McDavid's getting some snub.
I mean, he only put up over 110 points playing on the worst team.
Like, is this guy set to leave for another team in the next couple of years? Is he going to be that guy? Are we seeing maybe a possibility of a Wayne Gretzky?
No, because he said he wouldn't have signed with Edmonton long term if he didn't want to be there. And I mean, the guy just signed a mega deal. Yeah. So I don't even think that he would go in. If they ever traded him, it would be the dumbest thing they ever did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've done a lot of dumb stuff leading to this point. So
yeah, Taylor Hall. But I mean, Chiarelli's gone, so hopefully the new guy won't trade his best player for a bottom pair defenseman.
Only time will tell. Vezina trophies: Ben Bishop, Robin Leonard, and Vasilevsky. Okay, I'm sorry. My Leaf biasm can't hold me back here. But Ben Bishop, I think Anderson over Ben Bishop. I'm just saying.
Robin Leonard had a great comeback year.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky for sure. But how is Frederik Anderson if he's not going to be a nominee for the Vezina, he should be a nominee for the Hart.
I understand. He almost led the league in saves. How does this guy not get in, I don't understand.
The guy faces more shots than anybody in the league.
He's not where the Leafs are without Leafs are not where they are without Frederik Anderson. Just saying. Anyways, this is an interesting one. I really want to hear your take on this because I know you'll probably be stuck between 2 of the 3, but we got Calder Trophy, Jordan Bennington, Rasmus Dahlin, and Elias Peterson.
Well, I think Pettersson's going to win it. I don't know if Bennington played enough games.
He played 35, I think it was.
Yeah, to me, 35 games isn't enough of a season for me to give it to Bennington. I mean, obviously, since he started playing, I would say he's been the best rookie, but again, he didn't play the whole year. Yeah, so
if it was 35 spread out, maybe, but it was basically all the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Pettersson's got to win it. I mean, Dahlin, you can't ask for nothing more from a 19-year-old defenseman playing in the NHL. He did his job. He almost got, 50 points is a great season for a 19-year-old defenseman.
On a team that didn't make the playoffs, which is huge.
Yeah,
so.
But Pettersson obviously lit the league on fire. Like, as a rookie, he came out flying and basically took over as the poster boy for rookies this year. But he was drafted the previous year. But I think Pettersson should win it. I think Binnington's been a great job, but I don't think he's played enough games to deserve winning it. That's my opinion.
The Selke, we got Bergeron again, regular nominee here. O'Reilly and Mark Stone.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Stone leads the league in takeaways. O'Reilly's one of the best defensive centers in the league, winning the most faceoffs, and Bergeron.
If Bergeron wins it this year, he'll break Bob Gainey's record of a 5th Selke in a row.
Bob Gainey.
Yeah. Lady Byng, Barkov, Monahan, and O'Reilly. So O'Reilly already nominated to a 2nd trophy here. I think Barkov's probably going to win this one.
Yeah, he's a very underrated player from playing in Florida. Nobody gives him the love that he deserves. And I guess Ryan O'Reilly. Cap, you found your passion for hockey, bud.
Bill Masterson. I love this trophy. For people that don't know, it's dedication to hockey. Basically, this award. We got Robin Leonard. Interesting one. Nick Foligno. And Joe Thornton, your boy Jumbo Joe.
Jumbo Joe.
I think it's either going to be Joe or Leonard.
I think Robin Leonard's going to get it because nobody even expected him to be a goalie much longer in the NHL. Went through a lot of mental health problems, which he disclosed this past offseason.
I just like Thornton overcomes both CL injuries at the age of 39. Like that's so much commitment to still play as hard as he plays.
Yeah, and now playing in the playoffs, like he's a warrior.
Jack Adams. Oh, wait, you were going to say something about Thornton?
Oh, I was just going to say I still think Leonard deserves the award, though.
Best coach, we got Craig Berube, John Cooper, and Barry Trotz.
Okay, Barry Trotz has got to that's got to be the most unanimous award of the year. What he did with the Islanders, losing their best player, and adding Matt Martin and Leo Komarov and making them a playoff team.
You got the people argue, oh, well, Cooper, 62-win season, that's pretty ties the NHL record. I'm like, well...
Yeah,
I can't really argue that much.
Did you see the talent with that?
Yeah,
you see the talent he had on that roster.
Not like he's
Barry Trotz.
That's like having a Team Canada team in the NHL and then giving the Coach of the Year to the guy who runs Team Canada.
Trotz has done an unbelievable job with the Islanders, and again, we don't need you as far as Tavares. I'm just kidding. I guess they need him in the 2nd round because they're not looking too good.
I guess we'll end off with this because we always keep an eye and a tab on this guy. Just what ends up where he goes. Chris Versteeg he's back in the AHL next year. He'll be with the Rockford Ice Hogs for 1 year next year.
Back with Chicago's farm team, I guess. Yeah. So that was the big breaking news of the day.
I think your name itself should be Chris Versteeg. No, it won't be. I'm just joking.
Wow.
Anyways, guys, basically that's a hockey preview, or a little bit of a preview what the hockey podcast is going to be about. We gave you our network details in the beginning, guys. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Armchair GM Pod. It'll be down in the YouTube description below. I'll put all the links on there below. Thank you for tuning in, guys. A lot of big stuff coming to this network, so it's going to be basically the takeoff, and we hope to talk to you again.
And we haven't figured out a schedule yet. We just might release episodes periodically till we get a regular schedule going, but stay tuned.
So other than that, guys, I am Kyle. That's Brandon.
Go Sharks.
Go Sharks, I guess. I might as well. My team's sitting in the golf course right now with your team. Your other team. Other than that, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.